My wife is 7 months pregnant, and to ensure she receives the best care, I booked a top-tier postpartum care center. However, when finalizing the contract, the staff member suddenly spoke hesitantly. "Excuse me, Mr. Sean. Our records show your wife registered here 5 years ago." I froze, doubting my hearing, then showed our marriage certificate to ask if there was a clerical error. The staff turned her computer screen toward me. Ms. Cheen was already married 5 years ago. She's now a mother of 2 children. We have their archived photos and photocopies of their marriage certificate from that time. As each piece of evidence unfolded before me, my mind went blank. This is undeniably my wife. So what does that make me? Ms. Cheen's husband is our platinum member here. How dare you cause trouble like this, you clueless imposter. Get out. Get out. We don't welcome shameless kept men like you. The front desk staff looked me up and down with an air of arrogance, never giving me a chance to explain before shoving me out. By the time I snapped back to my senses, the door of the postnatal care center had already shut. My face twisted in confusion as I recalled the marriage certificate photos and information I'd just seen. The photos clearly showed my wife Cheen Jirua's face and name, but the man in the photo was someone I didn't recognize at all. Why had Cheen Jirua hidden the fact that she was already married? The more I thought about it, the angrier I grew. I immediately called her, desperate for answers. But the line kept repeating, temporarily unavailable, and my barrage of messages received no response. Then I remembered, she was currently on vacation abroad, likely resting. Ever since Cheen Jirua became pregnant, despite my devoted care, I'd always sensed a lingering melancholy in her. That's why I planned a luxurious trip to France, hoping to lift her spirits. But with the company undergoing a critical transitional phase, she couldn't bring herself to leave. Helplessly, I could only hire a few caregivers to accompany her on the vacation while staying behind to manage company affairs. To ensure she could rest assured during her postpartum period after returning, I specifically researched and finally found a seemingly good postpartum care center. Never expected to encounter such things. Unable to reach Cheen Jirua, I had to suppress my anger while waiting for her response. If the rumors are true, I won't let it go easily. At this moment, Cheen Jirua finally returned the video call. "Husband, I just woke up and didn't see your messages." The screen revealed that familiar face. She sat on the bed wearing a silk nightgown, looking slightly drowsy as if just awakened. Seeing her exhausted expression, I couldn't help feeling tender. But remembering what happened earlier, I immediately returned to reality, staring at her while suppressing rage. I demanded, "Cheen Jirua, are you hiding something from me? Do you have another man outside?" Hearing my words, the woman on the screen immediately changed her expression. "Shinsheng, what are you talking about? I'm carrying your child in my womb, and you dare slander me like this? Are you even a man? I've never loved anyone else besides you. If you think we can't continue, then let's get divorced." Looking at her angry demeanor, she seemed genuinely wronged. I panicked and hurriedly apologized. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I just heard some messy rumors." "Don't be angry. Pregnant women shouldn't get upset. It's my fault." After a while, my wife calmed down slightly. To prove her innocence, she showed me every corner of the room, confirming no men's items existed. "You'd better not dare act so brazenly. Who's spreading lies about me behind my back? Was it some media outlet? I'll make them pay when I return. How dare they sabotage our marriage while I'm away? When I get back, I will definitely track down those rumor mongers." Hearing her speak with such firm determination, my doubts diminished considerably. Looking back, Cheen Jirua and I were university classmates. She fell in love with me at first sight, secretly admiring me for 2 years before gathering the courage to confess. That day, she stood there holding a huge bouquet of roses, so nervous she kept making awkward mistakes. The girl with an aloof exterior was actually shy and timid underneath. This striking contrast captured my attention. After observing her for half a year, I gradually grew fond of her too, and we eventually became a couple. After graduation, she decided to start her own business. Within just 2 years, she built the company into a thriving enterprise, enduring countless hardships without ever complaining. After achieving success, she even gave me all her assets as dowry. The scene from our proposal day remains vivid in my memory. Under the moonlight, she vowed to me, "In this lifetime, I choose only you. All my wealth I entrust to you. If one day I betray you, let me leave with nothing, never to rise again." She showed me her heart without reservation. At that moment, I knew she was the person I'd spend my life with. After marriage, she cared for me with meticulous attention, managing every household affair in perfect order. Friends said Cheen Jirua was practically a husband-spoiling maniac. How could someone who loved me so much secretly build another family outside? As this thought emerged, my suspicions gradually faded. "Darling, I was truly wrong to act so impulsively. You can punish me however you want when I return home. Make me kneel on a washboard, or even durian." After endless apologies and transferring another 2 million, I finally gained her forgiveness. Hanging up, the weight lifted from my chest, just as I planned. To book another postnatal care center, my assistant called. The lead organizer for our company's new product launch had unexpectedly run into an issue. The company was in chaos at this moment, urgently needing someone to take charge. This product launch is crucial for our company's transformation. There must be no mistakes. After careful consideration, I decided to return to the company immediately to resolve the current issues as soon as possible. 2 hours later, I arrived punctually at the company entrance. The media had long been in position, but there was no suitable host available. My assistant looked at me as if grasping a lifeline. I instructed him to first visit the hospital to check on the colleague and ensure her safety before returning. After the assistant left, I steadied my emotions and entered the conference room to prepare for the press conference. Upon entering, several executives immediately began whispering when they saw me. I paid no mind, smiling as I greeted them, but unexpectedly they recoiled in alarm. Ignoring their reaction, I confirmed my identity and prepared to announce the start of the event. Suddenly, commotion erupted from the crowd as a man stood up. He pulled a marriage certificate from his pocket and waved it in front of the cameras. "Sir, if you claim to be CEO Chin's husband, then who am I?" I was dumbfounded. Wasn't this man the guy with the marriage certificate involving Chin Zuo at the postpartum care center this morning? How could he possibly be qualified to attend the Chin Group's press conference? I didn't recognize this person at all, but upon closer inspection, his outfit strikingly resembled mine, especially the limited edition watch on his wrist, the very one Chin Zuo had queued for hours to buy me. Fury erupted in my heart. Where are the security guards? What's going on here? The audience area suddenly flooded with crowds of spectators, while online comment sections launched fierce attacks against me. Asian is a well-known blogger. Everyone knows his wife dotes on him. Who could have imagined a third party would ruin their relationship? So the homewrecker mentioned an hour ago really exists. And is Chin CEO's husband actually Asian? Chu Xian curled his lips into a sneer, opening the marriage certificate and holding it up to the camera. My wife and I have been married for 5 years. We're inseparable. How could anyone possibly have an affair behind my back? As soon as these words were spoken, his fans began attacking me like rabid dogs. Where did this pretty boy pop out from? Trying to claim connections? Shameless. If you say you're President Chin's husband, show us your marriage certificate then. Look in the mirror before going out. With such an ugly mug trying to climb up to President Chin? Ridiculous. I found it utterly absurd, given that my relationship with Chin Zhuo is a legally recognized marriage, not some third-party affair. Please stop making false accusations. Chin Zhuo and I are legally certified spouses. This enterprise was built together by both of us. I searched through my phone for the digital marriage certificate, only to discover it was missing. Then I remembered, in our youthful impulsiveness, we'd torn up the original document right after obtaining it. Now that our child needs household registration, the new marriage certificate hasn't been reissued yet. Hearing my words, Chu Xian sneered coldly. I know he can't produce it at all, because I'm the real husband of Chin Zhuo. Online comments instantly flooded with supportive messages for him. True, we've witnessed Asian's account grow to this day. Everyone knows how much President Chin dotes on him. How could she possibly like such a scumbag? I felt utterly confused. Chin Zhuo was always extremely busy with work, spending all her free time accompanying me. How could she possibly have had a secret relationship with Chu Xian while running a couple's account together? Seeing Chu Xian's smug expression, I furiously demanded, "The certificate in your hand is forged. Forging official documents carries legal consequences." As I remained stubbornly unconvinced, Chu Xian pulled out a stack of photos from his bag and flung them in my face. They showed him and Chin Zhuo growing up together through the years, like childhood sweethearts who had matured side by side. At that moment, the conference room door swung open, and a little girl walked in. She bore a striking resemblance to Chin Zhuo, even sharing identical mannerisms. "Daddy, who's causing trouble here?" She seemed completely familiar with the place, showing no signs of nervousness or fear. The internet instantly flooded with critical comments. "This girl looks exactly like a carbon copy of President Chin. Enough proof already. Let this outsider get out of someone else's family." Chu Xian lifted his head, his eyes brimming with contempt. "Stop dreaming. I'm Chin Zhuo's true partner. One must face reality. Not everyone gets to live a rags-to-riches fantasy. How could this child look so uncannily like Chin Zhuo?" My mind reeled with shock and panic. Memories of Chin Zhuo's meticulous care for me clashed violently with the chaos now engulfing my thoughts. I dialed Chin Zhuo's number over a dozen times, but every call went unanswered. "Zhuo, what's going on? Why is there a child calling you mom? Come out and explain this immediately." Blood surged violently in my veins as I struggled to remain calm. Chin Zhuo had looked exhausted hours ago, and was probably resting now. She always kept her phone silenced during rest, so it was normal for her not to answer calls. I then called Li He. As Qin Zhiruo's closest friend, they'd grown up together since childhood and shared an inseparable bond. The call was answered quickly, and a hoarse voice came through the receiver. Li He, has Zhiruo been seeing someone else? Li He was probably still lazing in bed, jolted awake by the question and immediately alert. Shen Cheng, who told you Zhiruo betrayed you? Who's spreading these lies? I can guarantee Zhiruo would never betray you. You're her first love. Hearing this, I finally let out a sigh of relief. I played the phone recording for everyone to hear. Li He, being a renowned movie queen, absolutely couldn't lie for me. Netizens' opinions immediately split into two factions. This is Li He we're talking about. Would she need to lie? Could this man really be President Qin's husband? But wait, Asian's child looks exactly like President Qin. They're clearly biological relatives. I remarked indifferently. Plenty of people look alike, and human hearts are inscrutable. Who knows if that child had plastic surgery? You can't determine anything just by looks. Seeing my stubbornness, Chu Xian's face darkened with displeasure, a mocking smile tugging at his lips. He took out his phone and directly video called Qin Zhiruo. Unexpectedly, she answered immediately. The screen image was projected onto the press conference's large display, revealing Qin Zhiruo's familiar face to the crowd. The woman who'd stayed by my side day and night hadn't answered my calls, yet picked up Chu Xian's. A surge of rage welled up in my heart, leaving me dizzy and disoriented. She'd better explain herself quickly, or I won't let her off easily. Yet the next moment, I froze in shock. Qin Zhiruo asked tenderly, "Darling, what are you doing?" A little girl ran past nearby, calling out sweetly, "Mommy." Qin Zhiruo replied with a smile. "Did you listen to Daddy at home?" The girl nodded vigorously, then suddenly remembered something, her brows knitted together. "I did, but strangers kept bothering Daddy outside. Today someone called Daddy a homewrecker and embarrassed him." Qin Zhiruo's eyes first widened in astonishment, then burned with fury. "Who dares cause trouble at our home? I only have one husband. Asian. Asian, hit them back hard. I've got your back." As she spoke, Chu Xian rushed at me and swung his hand, slapping me across the face. "I've been tolerating you all along, never expecting you to grow increasingly brazen. Now that I've proven my identity, it's time for you to concede defeat." I stood frozen, my face deathly pale. How is this possible? She's not Qin Zhiruo. Qin Zhiruo would never treat me like this. "Give me the phone. I need to confront her directly." I tried to snatch the phone to challenge Qin Zhiruo, but Chu Xian blocked me. Seeing me lunge forward, he hastily retreated and barked. "What are you doing? This is my wife. Can't win an argument, so you resort to force." "Security. Where's security? Escort this lunatic out." Chaos erupted instantly. Security guards moved to remove me, and I exploded. "Lay a finger on me, and I'll fight you to the death." The guards hesitated at my frenzy, pausing awkwardly. "Sir, this is a press conference. You need to leave." Fury burned through me. "Are you blind? Can't you see who's truly causing this disruption?" I couldn't guess Chu Xian's true motives. Though the woman in the video did resemble Qin Zhiruo strikingly, with today's advanced technology, it could very well be an AI-generated face. Unless I see a living, breathing person with my own eyes, I refuse to believe it. As I pondered, I remembered someone who could verify my identity. My father-in-law will confirm I'm Qin Zhiruo's husband. I hurriedly pulled out my phone to call my father-in-law, but withdrew at the moment I caught sight of Chu Xian. "It's you who claims to be Qin Zhiruo's husband, so you must know father-in-law's contact information. Since Zhiruo isn't in the country now, even the most solid evidence could be fabricated. There's no way to prove you're really her husband. If you truly have the capability, summon father-in-law here immediately. Let's see whether he acknowledges you as his son-in-law." Father-in-law is a renowned traditional Chinese painter with international prestige. Even someone as audacious as Chu Xian couldn't possibly forge such a distinguished public figure. Moreover, my father-in-law has always approved of me. The first time I went to the Qin family home, he gave me his ancestral jade pendant. Whenever we argued, he would take my side and reprimand Qin Zhiruo. He has always treated me like his own son, and even generously bought us a new house when we got married. Chu Xian sneered. "You won't give up until you see the Yellow River. I bet you don't have what it takes." With that, he dialed the father-in-law's number, his voice tinged with grievance. "Dad, someone at the company started a rumor today, claiming I'm the other woman. Please come quickly and help vindicate me." Chu Xian put the call on speakerphone, and a familiar voice came through. "Who dares bully my son-in-law? I'll set things right for you right now." Instantly, the Danmu erupted in sighs. "Stop guessing. Chu Xian is definitely the legitimate son-in-law. What father-in-law would be this enthusiastic about a fake one? Shin Sheng, that guy who lives off his pretty face, keeps dreaming of transforming from a poor boy into a wealthy heir. His face is already completely lost, yet he still stubbornly refuses to admit defeat. How shameless can one be?" I stared dumbfounded at Chu Xian, but he just waved his phone at me. Even your father-in-law recognizes me as Chin Xiro's husband. Why won't you believe it? My fists clenched tightly, frustration choking my chest as my shoulders began trembling uncontrollably. Dad, I'm Shinsheng. I'm your real son-in-law. How could you take sides with these unreliable people? Before I could finish speaking, Chu Xian put away his phone and punched me square in the face. What are you babbling about? Who gave you the right to claim someone else's father? Chu Xian's voice carried a hint of grievance as he addressed my father-in-law. Dad, please come to the company to clarify this. Otherwise, random people will keep trying to infiltrate our family. Convinced the person on the phone was an imposter, I immediately pulled out my phone and sent a WeChat to my father-in-law. After briefly explaining today's events, I desperately hoped he'd hurry over to verify my identity. Father-in-law replied promptly, saying he would come immediately. Given his temperament, he'd surely make Chu Xian leave the company when he arrived. Once father-in-law came, all truths would be revealed. Before long, his car pulled up at the entrance. He walked slowly with his signature cane in hand. Seeing the real father-in-law arrive, the weight lifted from my chest as I hurried to support him. Dad, you're finally here. Please explain to them. I'm your real son-in-law. Some random man appeared with a child, claiming to be the Chin family's son-in-law. They've been ganging up to bully me this whole time. Don't let them get away with this. Father-in-law removed his glasses, studied me closely for several minutes, then revealed that familiar smile. I finally relaxed. Thank goodness father-in-law could verify my identity. I glared at Chu Xian, determination burning in my eyes. This time, I would utterly destroy his reputation. But then, father-in-law pushed my hand away and walked towards Chu Xian, affectionately calling him son-in-law. He then turned to me, a sarcastic smile curling at the corner of his lips. I remember you. You're the one who sneaked into my daughter's room that time. My daughter wasn't willing back then. She tried to dress you and send you out. Yet you even attempted to harass the housekeeper afterward. Everyone present was stunned. I stood frozen, disbelief flooding my eyes. Impossible. You can't be the real father-in-law. The barrage was also shocked by my reaction. This guy's got some nerve. He doubts his own wife, now even his father-in-law. Does that make him the real one then? Does he even know what shame is? Still trying to climb the social ladder? Father-in-law lifted his hand to adjust his hair, revealing the scar on his forehead. I remembered. That was the mark he accidentally got from bumping into the counter on our wedding day. The imposter father-in-law would never notice such details. He must be someone close to the real father-in-law. The man walked up to me and suddenly slapped me across the face. I've never known anything about real or fake. Only that I have a son-in-law who philanders and social climbs. My only true son-in-law is Xian. I shouted in near despair. No, this can't be true. My father-in-law has always treated me well. He'd never speak like this. You're definitely an imposter. Seeing my breakdown, Chu Xian snorted disdainfully. Had enough drama? Is admitting your mediocrity so hard? All evidence is in my hands. Mr. Chin himself has proven my innocence. You'd better back off now. The usually kind father-in-law now seemed like a different person. I couldn't accept this reality. He's definitely not my father-in-law. He would never say such things to me. I remembered when I had a high fever that time. Chin Jiruo was abroad. It was father-in-law who took me to the hospital and stayed with me through those nights. My refined father-in-law would never say such things in front of everyone. The situation escalated too quickly, leaving me no choice but to call the police for help. Sweat beaded on my forehead as I frantically pulled out my phone to dial 110. Just as I was about to make the call, my father-in-law snatched the phone from my hand. You scoundrel! Don't you understand the Chin family is at a critical juncture? Are you trying to ruin my daughter? It was true. The Chin family situation was highly complicated. I felt relief at not making that call, as it would have subjected Chin Zhao to even greater public scrutiny. My father-in-law had always been gentle and never cursed. This only deepened my conviction he was an imposter. You're a fraud. I'll expose you for who you really are. Chu Xian could no longer restrain himself and lunged at me, fists flying. How dare you covet my wife? I'll teach you a lesson. Bodyguards closed in and began viciously kicking my limbs. While they pinned me down, Chu Xian grabbed my hair and slapped me hard across the face. Even if we kill you, it'd just cost some compensation money. Security, throw him out right now. I had just staggered to my feet when Chu Xian shoved me down again. My father-in-law rushed over and rained kicks and punches upon me. Shameless trash. You dare lay hands on my daughter. Death to anyone who ruins my daughter's happiness. The excruciating pain forced endless tears from my eyes as I lay helpless under their collective beating. A sudden warm stream of blood cascaded down my scalp, agony radiating through every nerve. Weakly, I cried for help. Help someone. Quick. Call an ambulance. My father-in-law stood nearby, arms folded and coldly sneering. Good if he dies. Saves others from his corruption. Chu Xian intensified his assault, slamming my head against the floor with brutal force. When he realized I couldn't fight back, he yanked my hair too. Force eye contact. Filthy scum. You dared seduce my wife. Who gave you the courage? I'll destroy your face right now. Let's see you charm women with ruins for features. He pulled a blade from his sleeve and prepared to slash my face. At that moment, the conference room door was violently kicked open. Qin Zhiruo's voice rang out. Stop right there. Release him immediately. The crowd instantly fell silent, all eyes turning toward the woman at the doorway. Seeing Qin Zhiruo enter, Chu Xian rushed forward eagerly, grabbing her arm to complain. Wife, you finally came. Do you know? Some bastard just claimed to be your husband. But before he could finish, Qin Zhiruo shoved him aside. You dare call yourself my husband? Xincheng is my only husband. You shouldn't have laid hands on my husband. The barrage exploded instantly. Chu Xian was fake? Didn't see that twist coming. Don't jump to conclusions. Maybe CEO Qin has 2 husbands. The mistress is taking over now. Panic flooded Chu Xian's eyes. How is this possible? Qin Zhiruo, I'm the one who should be your husband. He's the imposter. Qin Zhiruo cast a cold glance at him and her father before hurrying over to help me up. Her voice trembled with urgency. I'm sorry, Xincheng. This is all my fault. I shivered in pain, as if all my grievances erupted at once. Why does Dad believe he's your husband? Why do you have his child? Why do the 2 of you have a marriage certificate? Why did he stay with you at the postpartum care center? Explain this to me. I sobbed uncontrollably. Qin Zhiruo clutched my shoulders tightly, burying her face in my neck. None of this is real. You're the only one in my heart. Xincheng, don't you understand my feelings? Pointing at the 2 nearby, my hand shook with rage. Call the police. Help me call the police. You need to demand justice for me. I expected Qin Zhiruo to take out her phone, but instead she lowered her head. Xincheng, the Qin family is at a critical juncture. Can we not call the police for now? A fire of fury burned in my chest. Not call the police? Then who will get justice for me? Qin Zhiruo, do you even have a heart? I'm your husband. I'm in this state, and you still stop me from reporting it. I struggled to break free from her, but she kept clutching me tightly, repeatedly apologizing. I'm sorry, Xincheng. Just help me this once. I'll listen to everything you say from now on. I beg you, Xincheng. This was the first time I questioned Qin Zhiruo's feelings for me. How could she let her husband suffer such great injustice and still refuse to stand up for me? With the Qin family in its critical growth phase, must I just swallow my anger and endure in silence? Seeing Qin Zhiruo protecting me, Chu Xian became competitive. He ran up to me and taunted. I told you, I've long been Qin Zhiruo's man. She even bore me a daughter, and the child in her womb now is also mine. Go ahead and report it if you dare. Let's see whose side the police will take. My father-in-law also joined in. Qin Zhiruo, this isn't right. Asian knew you long before Xincheng. How could you let the latecomer take advantage? Besides, you already have 2 children with Asian. No matter what, you should stand by Asian. Chu Xian's daughter ran over and tugged Qin Zhiruo's sleeve, tears clinging to her face. Mom, do you really not want me and Dad anymore? Yesterday you promised to give me another little brother. Hearing this, I looked at Qin Zhiruo with utter disappointment. Qin Zhiruo, is this what you call loyalty? In the end, I was the one kept in the dark, the actual third wheel. Our Shin family has always been respectable. How did I become the fool, even getting tricked into being the other woman? A mocking smile played on Chu Xian's lips. Only now you realize you're the third wheel? Let me tell you, I'm the one Zhiruo truly loves. A spineless man like you should quit while you're ahead. I still remember when we were kids, Zhiruo often took me out to play. Back then, she said she'd marry me when we grew up. And in the end, she truly became my wife. Some people clearly know they can't be the main character, but still insist on crashing the party. Who knew my wife would stay so loyal? My entire body trembled as tears streamed down my cheeks. I'd been lying to myself all along. At that moment, I even felt life had lost all meaning. Chu Xian kept talking, recounting childhood memories with Qin Zhiruo, but his words felt like fishbones lodged in my throat. The comments began shifting too. Director Qin's actions are perplexing, living carefree while letting the third party bully the legal spouse. She deserves the scorn. True, Director Qin's attractive, but that's no excuse for two-timing. I hope Xian drives Qin Zhiruo away soon and takes the reins for real. Qin Zhiruo was so angry she laughed. She stood up and pulled her father-in-law and Chu Xian aside. Her voice was low, but I heard it clearly. I've already done as you demanded. I hope you won't make excessive requests anymore. If you insist on escalating this, I can't guarantee the consequences. Seeing public opinion favored him, Chu Xian deliberately placed his hand on Qin Zhiruo's shoulder. His eyes filled with provocation. What's wrong with this? We're husband and wife after all. You'll never repay what you owe our family in this lifetime. Enough. Qin Zhiruo smiled without mirth, her voice trembling with anger. What exactly do you want now? The father-in-law stepped in front of Chu Xian and shouted at Qin Ji Rua. Why take it out on Asian? If you're so kappa, Blee, go confront that third party. Then he turned to comfort Chu Xian. Asian, this is all Qin Ji Rua's fault. Dad apologizes to you. Don't worry. Qin Ji Rua will definitely take care of that third party and give you a satisfactory answer. When he spoke to Qin Ji Rua, he emphasized the words, give an explanation, with particular force. I feel there's more to this story. Could Qin Ji Rua also have unspeakable difficulties? But she shouldn't have lied to me. If she's truly being controlled by someone, I'll help her find a solution. The comments grew increasingly vicious. This woman is utterly wicked, still protecting such a scumbag. She'll be cuckolded soon enough. Exactly, never thought President Qin was this kind of person. Poor treasure, Asian. Qin Zhuo laughed bitterly at the comments, glaring fiercely at Chu Xian before suddenly slapping him hard across the face. Qin Zhuo, always so gentle, was rarely seen this furious. People around began whispering. How could she hit her husband? Can't cover this up anymore. No sympathy for disloyal women with violent tendencies. Regret ever liking her. Qin Zhuo's expression darkened further. Uncle Chu, I thought you were sensible. I never expected you to be this foolish. Do you think the Qin family's reputation means that much to me? Or do you believe you've done me such great favors that I must obey you? The father-in-law suddenly lost his earlier imposing demeanor, looking up at her. What do you want? Exactly what are you trying to achieve? Qin Zhuo walked to my side and carefully nestled into my arms. Husband, I've made up my mind. I won't let you suffer these unjust grievances anymore. I'll definitely give you proper resolution. She took out her phone and dialed 110 under Chu Xian's astonished gaze. The father-in-law pushed the little girl forward. The child hurried to Qin Zhuo's side, tightly clutching her leg. Mommy, you can't send Daddy to jail just because I like Uncle. I can't be without Mommy. Has Mommy forgotten there's still little brother in her belly? Qin Zhuo violently shoved the little girl away. The child crashed into the corner of a table, blood streaming from her head, yet she still murmured softly. I believe in Mom. I believe Mom only loves Dad. Chu Xian screamed and rushed over, scooping up the little girl while shouting hoarsely. Qin Zhuo, have you lost your mind? She is our daughter. What on earth are you trying to do? The father-in-law panicked and rushed over in distress. My precious granddaughter. How could there be such a vicious mother? Xian, let's take Cici to the hospital immediately. Seeing the father-in-law trying to flee, Qin Zhuo said coldly. Our daughter. What a joke. There was never any real affection between us. She should be my sister. Qin Zhuo seemed determined to reveal the truth, leaving the father-in-law instantly panic-stricken. Nonsense. She is your child. If you keep spouting nonsense, I'll tear your face apart. Qin Zhuo's cold gaze fell on her father-in-law. Stop making excuses. Back then, Chu Xian tried to seduce me, but ended up in my mother's bed by accident. They had an affair. Later, my mother died in a car accident while on a business trip with my father. Under the guise of a posthumous child, you not only seized the Qin family's assets, you hypocritically adopted me, all just to make me the mother to Chu Xian's child. The father-in-law angrily lunged forward to tear Qin Zhuo's mouth, but was restrained by security guards. Qin Zhuo continued speaking, her expression icy cold. Chu Xian and I grew up together since childhood. When my parents went on business trips, they left me in your care. I remembered your kindness, which is why I agreed to this arrangement. But I never imagined you'd take an inch and demand a mile. Now you won't even spare my husband. Chu Xian's face flushed red with anger. Don't you dare wrong me. It was clearly you who had relations with me. Qin Zhuo smiled faintly and produced a paternity test report. The report showed that Chu Xian's daughter indeed shared a sisterly relationship with Qin Zhuo. I was adopted by your family. Uncle Chu treated me well, and I've always wanted to repay his kindness. So I invited Uncle Chu to my home and let him live with my husband. He got along well with my husband. I thought Uncle Chu was a reasonable man. I never expected him to act so immorally. Chu Xian fell to the ground in fright. No, it's impossible. Stop talking. Please stop. Qin Zhuo's expression turned unusually cold as she watched Chu Xian tremble, like a messenger from hell. To protect the Qin family's reputation, I tolerated you all this time. But you've gone too far. My gratitude toward you was repaid when you devoured the Qin family's assets. Chu Xian nearly lost consciousness in terror. No, it can't be. The person who slept with me that night was clearly you. How could it be your mother? You're lying. You just don't want to take responsibility. Qin Zhuo shielded me behind her as police arrived promptly and arrested Chu Xian along with his father-in-law. The comments section exploded. Oh my God, these are the secrets within wealthy families? Tried to hook up with the daughter, but ended up with the mother. Thank goodness Madame Qin returned, otherwise Mr. Shun might have been in danger. Just now we were defending Chu Xian. I can't imagine how devastated Mr. Shun must be. Disgusting. Chu Xian's utterly shameless, climbing up through such means. Thank heavens he didn't taint Madame Qin, or someone would have really suffered. The little girl knelt before Qin Zhuo, unable to accept that her once-admired father was such a person. Mom, all of this was Dad's doing. Blame him if you must. I'm of Qin family bloodline. The company should have my share. Qin Zhuo gazed coldly at this child, who shared no blood relation with her. Actual control of this company lies entirely with your brother-in-law. Abandon this delusion early. Qin Zhuo sent the 2 men who harmed me to prison, then sent Chu Xian's child to an orphanage. According to the police, this incident was Chu Xian's deliberate attempt to take revenge on me. He resented my comfortable life and sought opportunities to usurp my position. My father-in-law tried to dissuade him, but Chu Xian stubbornly insisted on his course. Ultimately, with no alternatives left, my father-in-law, unwilling to let his son bear infamy, risked joining him in this venture. As a result, Chu Xian was sentenced to 3 years for malicious assault, while my father-in-law received 1 year as an accomplice. Chu Xian grew deranged in prison, still deluding himself into believing he remained the son-in-law of the Qin group. He would frequently beat others in jail and order fellow inmates to serve him. In the end, he himself was brutally beaten, left permanently disabled. As for me, the prior assault left me with severe physical and psychological trauma. My wife and I went to the hospital together, she to give birth, and I to recover. To prevent further incidents, Qin Zhuo specifically posted our wedding photos on Weibo. After I recovered, Qin Zhuo also smoothly gave birth to our baby. To avoid misunderstandings, we immediately conducted a paternity test after the child's birth. The child is indeed my own flesh and blood. After Chu Xian was released from prison, he frequently loitered near the entrance of my house. Every time I tried to have security drive him away, he would preemptively complain. Feeling uneasy, I became more vigilant. Perhaps because too much time had passed, he finally couldn't hold back anymore. One day, when I went to the parking lot to retrieve my car, he approached me with a knife. Seeing me retreat in fear, Chu Xian smirked triumphantly. Pretty boy, if it weren't for you, Qin Zhuo and I would have been together long ago. It's all your fault that I can't see my child anymore. As long as you're dead, Qin Zhuo can only be mine. Die. He raised the knife to stab me, the blade nearly piercing my abdomen. At the critical moment, Qin Zhuo rushed over with bodyguards and kicked the knife away. You still dare to act so arrogantly? Chu Xian's eyes turned red with rage. It's all your fault. Why won't you accept me? Even if the child isn't yours, I still love you. Qin Zhuo was rendered speechless by his twisted logic. As she tried to call the police, her father-in-law stopped her. Please, my son is still young. I can't let him go back to prison again. Considering how well the Qin family treated you in the past, couldn't you show mercy? Qin Zhuo ignored her father-in-law and resolutely dialed the police number. Under her father-in-law's stunned gaze, she handed the surveillance footage to the officers. I've learned the truth about my parents' deaths. This time, I won't let you escape justice. It turned out Chu Xian's parents had orchestrated Qin Zhuo's parents' deaths. The father-in-law and Chu Xian were arrested again, both sentenced to life imprisonment. Qin Zhuo took me to